A pleasant good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome inside Pam Evans Smith Arena on the campus of Wittenberg University for Ohio High School Athletic Association Boys Volleyball State Championship matchups. This is a Division I State Championship semifinal featuring Thomas Worthington's Cardinals and the Eagles of New Albany High School. With Jackie Klein, I'm Chris Solwecki. So glad to have you along with us. And Jackie, here we are. So many teams around the state have battled to get to this place. 4 remain in Division I. These two both from Central Ohio, Eagles and Cardinals. And for the Eagles, a young team and kind of an up-and-comer in Central Ohio.
Yeah, and believe it or not, these guys are very close together as far as their location of schools, and they've never played each other this year. And so this will be their first matchup, and it's going to be a middle versus middle game today. We're going to see a lot of balls delivered to the middle, either in front of the center or in that 31 spot, but we also need to recognize that New Albany has one senior. His name is Adam Sutton, and he is the libero. So we are going to see this team probably in the future because they're a young program, but Thomas Worthington, so fun to talk to their coaches. They said Jim Tressel came in to talk to them about creating the Cardinal standard, and they are focused on their culture. They are led by their captains, but we're going to see JT McGuire, their senior outside hitter. He's going to be playing all the way around. We're going to see him get set quite a few balls on the pin, but the biggest thing is he is a phenomenal leader.
You don't always talk about one-on-one matchups in volleyball, but in this one, we've got a dandy at the middle blocker position. Dylan Johnson wears number 12. He's a 6'3 senior for Thomas Worthington. And Yashas Developali, he's a 6'5 middle hitter, wears number 17 for New Albany. Those two guys lead their teams in offensive stats, and it could be a battle in the middle today.
Yeah, it's shocking. I did a little bit of research on Thomas Worthington, and their team leader in kills is Dylan Johnson out of the middle. And so if you're just looking at numbers, you're going to expect to see him deliver the ball. They're going to force that. But it looks like now we're going to the national anthem, and then we are off and running.
Hey, we will indeed. So we're rendition of the national anthem. We're just about set to go here from Pam Evans Smith Arena, featuring Thomas Worthington High School and New Albany High School. The officials for this first semifinal matchup: Brian Satterfield is referee number 1, 15 years of experience up on the ladder. Mason Sherman with 4 years of experience is referee number 2. The line judges: Harry Smith with 10 years experience, and Rhonda Bellman. She's been doing this 26 years. It's a sport you gotta love, and it's a way to stay involved, and we talk about this all the time when we're looking at new officials. Man, if you love the game, don't leave the game. Stay with it however you can.
The officials, it's a community. I mean, even in the stands, we see familiar faces of referees that have been on the stand or on the line calling the ball. And you see them at all levels, whether it's high school or club, and even into college. It's so fun to see everybody, and their faces light up when they see you, and it really is a fun environment. So if you are looking to get involved, reach out and see if you can make a little money doing some refereeing and join that community.
This broadcast is simulcast on the NFHS Network and the OHSAA Radio Network. Thomas Worthington is on our right. They are wearing blue jerseys with red numbers outlined in white. They also have on red shorts. Their starting lineup looks like this. Number 6, Noah May. Number 9, Oliver Marker. Number 10, Alexo Giamapouros. Number 11 is Kurt Buddy. Number 12 is Dylan Johnson. We talked about him. Number 14, Drew Barnes. And number 16, Alex Ondo. For New Albany, their starting lineup is like this. Number 2, Gabe Teeter. Number 6, Kyle Moore. Number 10, Michael Botkin. Austin Noriakis wears number 11. Levi Sterinsky is number 14. Adam Sutton, the lone senior on this team, wears number 16. And Yash Devilapalli, he wears number 17. There's a swing and taken out of bounds by New Albany. The first miss hit of the ball game, and Thomas Worthington leads it early, 1-0. At the serving line is number 9. That is Oliver Marker. Marker floats one. Good set, backside. Cross court off the touch. Set to the outside, tight to the net. They keep it alive, do the Eagles of New Albany, and send it across on a free ball. In the middle, off the touch. And it's a side out for the Eagles. So we are tied at 1 early on, and the serve comes back to New Albany. Number 6 will step to the serving line. That's Kyle Moore.
Both teams are being a little bit conservative right now, just making sure they understand what the court feels like. They've been practicing in a back gym, but haven't been on this floor yet, and just making sure the ball stays in bounds and they stay consistent.
What a tremendous dig over there by number 14, Drew Barnes of Thomas Worthington. And we've got a side out as there's a net violation, I believe, against New Albany.
So Drew Barnes is the libero for Thomas Worthington, and liberos can serve 4 middle blockers, and that's different in every league. Sometimes middles aren't allowed to serve in the professional leagues, but they are allowed to serve here in the high school program.
Michael Botkin with a nice throwdown from the right side, and so the point goes back to New Albany. We're tied at 2. And the libero for New Albany will step to the serving line. That's number 16, Adam Sutton. Good serve, middle back, floated it back there a little bit. Now we're coming to the near side. Big swing and down. Off the swing of Kurt Buddy, Thomas Worthington takes a 3-2 lead.
Talking with the Cardinal coaches, they were just very adamant that the team really focuses on being consistent. So we're going to see that these hitters have a really vast toolbox. They're gonna swing hard when it's available, but they're gonna take advantage of their tips and roll shots and tools also.
Anav Samrat had the serve, but oh my goodness, what a swing. New Albany gets the point, and it's tied at 3 as the ball comes back over to the Eagles, and it'll be number 11, Austin Noriakis, to the serving line. And there's a serving error by the Eagles, right back to Thomas Worthington, leading 4-3.
Going into a big match like this, your adrenaline is really high in the beginning. You really go back to the service line and you feel like you're barely touching that ball, and sometimes it just goes flying out of bounds, which is exactly what happened in that situation.
Kurt Buddy with the jump serve. There's one into the middle. Devilapalli hit it, but it was blocked back. Free ball of sorts, a roll shot, we'll call it, on the other side. Good block at the net. And it's down in the back corner. The point goes to New Albany, and back and forth we go, now tied at 4.
And both coaches did a great job of matching up their middle blockers with the other opponent's biggest middle blocker. So we have Yash in the front row, and we have Dylan Johnson right now, and we're going to see both of them really add to the offense here in this middle 1 position.
Yash with a throwdown, but it wasn't able to get beyond the blocker. Set to the outside. Into the block and out of bounds. That's a point. New Albany has it off the swing by Jack Martin.
Adam Sutton, the libero, had to deliver that out-of-system set. He used his hands. It came out really nice. But let's talk a little bit about that. They've been really laid back on double contact judgment calls on setters. They let it go more often than not. It isn't officially a rule at this high school level, but they are letting the game continue on.
Big swing from the outside. Goes through the hands of a New Albany defender, and the ball goes back to Thomas Worthington, and we are still tied, this time at 5, as setting to the serving line is number 12, Dylan Johnson. Johnson with a jumper. He sends the serve out of bounds.
We're going to see 3 types of serves today. The standing serve, we're going to see the jump float serve, and a jump topspin serve. And a lot of guys take advantage of that jump topspin serve, but you really have to put some speed on it. And Yash is taking advantage of the jump topspin serve. He actually let the ball get tossed in the air and drop. The rule books in high school say you get 1 reserve every time you come back to serve. So he can't do it again until he rotates around 6 more times.
There's a big swing on the near side. Point goes to the Cardinals. Substitutions coming as we're tied at 6 once again, and to the serving line for Thomas Worthington, number 16, Alex Ondo. Ondo is the setter on this team, a 6'1 junior, wears number 16, second team OCC. Quick one in the middle, and tossed down. Nice play in the middle by number 10, Michael Botkin, to get the points for the Eagles.
Michael Botkin is the middle blocker for New Albany, and then we're also going to see Starinsky run some stuff in the middle, and then obviously we've been talking about Yash when he comes in.
Shahil Shah steps to the serving line now for the Eagles. They lead it 7-6. Shah, a lefty. Bumper to the near side, really tight. We've got an antenna violation against the Cardinals, so that point will go to New Albany. And let's talk about that, because the ball, if it goes over or outside the antenna, it doesn't matter if it was touched.
Correct. It's immediately out of bounds, and it's not allowed to touch the antenna either.
Right. Shaw with a serve. Good reception on the far side. Back set. Swung and down. Good job by JT McGuire. McGuire, the guy we talked about, playing all 6 positions, a 6'1 senior outside hitter. Committed to North Greenville.
Yeah, committed to North Greenville. He's OCC Co-Player of the Year, Regional Player of the Year. I mean, this young man here, he's special when it comes to instilling this culture and leading his team. He gets to be on the court a lot. He is involved in passing and attacking, and we're going to see a lot out of him today.
Oliver Marker with the serve. And the ball came back toward Marker, and he was going one way, then it got deflected, and he was already off of his balance, and so the ball went down to the floor. The point goes to New Albany. They lead by 2. Here's Kyle Moore at the serving line for the Eagles. New Albany's uniforms are black with maroon and gold on the side. Maroon New Albany in script letters outlined in gold. Those of you watching on the NFHS network, you can see that. Those of you listening on the OHSAA radio network, we wanted to fill you in. 10-7, New Albany with the lead. Middle back, that could have been a double contact, no call. Set to the outside, big swing off the touch, it's gonna be a point. Levi Starinsky with a big score from the outside. And a timeout taken by Thomas Worthington as they trail New Albany 11-7. All right, Jackie, we've seen these 2 teams now for this first, everybody's started to calm down a little bit. The game's getting a little bit of a rhythm. What are you noticing from each team?
I am seeing that New Albany is doing a better job of taking care of the ball in a smart way. So what I mean by that is they have a toolbox in their hitting repertoire that they can tip it, they can tool it, they can swing hard and fast, and we're seeing a little bit more action on the New Albany side in that standard. Now, if we're looking over at Thomas Worthington, it still feels like they're trying to get their rhythm. I think they can do that, but there's a lot of things, like specifically in your approach, you need to go slow to fast, and some of the guys are just kind of going one speed, and that just may be nerves. Sometimes it takes a whole set just to reset and get ready for what your normal is. So I definitely don't want to count them out of this match at all based on what we're seeing so far.
New Albany on a 3-0 scoring run out of the timeout, and coming back to the serving line is number 6, Kyle Moore. 11-7 in set number 1, best 3 out of 5 in this Division I or Region I semifinal matchup. Set to the middle. Back row reception, outside, big swing, down in front, off of the arm of Kurt Buddy. The point goes to Thomas Worthington.
I loved seeing Kurt Buddy there. He went slow to fast, where the one before he was a little bit off on his timing. So it seems like he was able to get his rhythm between his setter. They're working on that connection on the outside. And a lot of that's communication, which goes back to their standard they talked about at the beginning of the match.
The Cardinal standard. Big swing and down. My goodness gracious. Kurt Buddy again.
So despite the kill that we just saw, New Albany was also in the net, and the referees did a great job of noticing that. They called that also, but either way, it doesn't matter. It was a kill.
Good pass to the middle, quick one. Big swing from the backside, but a good dig back there by number 13, JT McGuire. To the outside, off the touch. That'll be a point. Coach over there getting some action in as he received that ball off the deflection and passed it back into play.
Well, you know all those coaches love to play volleyball too, so
absolutely.
We just had a ball come in our face and we added it into the action too.
Adam Sutton to the serving line for the Eagles. If that happens, I'll let you take care of it. Former Ohio State star and run your own training center. I'm just an old guy. Set to the outside, Buddy. Here comes New Albany on the attack. Close one in the middle. Yash tosses it over. Outside, into the block, and down. The Cardinals get the point as the ball goes off of Yash's arms and down on New Albany's side.
This is something we see in the men's game quite often. These guys are jumping so high, they have this hang time, and if the opponent is able to put the ball into their arms and make them kind of hold on to it for a minute, it falls down with them, and that's exactly what we saw there off of Yash's hands.
Samra with a great serve, but a great connection over on New Albany's side as well. As Noriakis came up with it, they keep it alive. Yash sends it over. Out of system, but able to make lemonade out of lemons, and the point goes to New Albany.
We saw JT McGuire from the Cardinals run a back row attack out of middle back. Typically they call that a bick. It's usually run pretty fast. His was a little bit high.
That's a serving violation as Noriakis was well over the serving line when he made contact.
But you know what I liked about that is the rules state that you have to take off behind the line, but it doesn't say you can't contact it in the court. So he was really trying to make contact closer to the net, and that's fine. He'll dial it in.
Big swing, no touch called and out of bounds. So, they're going to call a touch. No, they're going to call a net violation against New Albany. So much happening. This game moves so fast. So 13-12, New Albany leads it. Kurt Buddy to the serving line for Thomas Worthington. Good reception, close to the net. That's going to be a double contact called against Noriakis, the 5'10 junior on this New Albany team.
So we talked about them being a pretty laid back with that, but that was a clear double contact. That ball actually hit one hand, then the other, and was spinning crazy. So that was a great call.
That was a set that went over the intended target, number 14, Levi Sturinsky. And so that's 2 errors in a row by Noriakis, and that gives Thomas Worthington a 1-point advantage. 14-13, Thomas Worthington on top. Buddy, middle back. Noriakis goes middle, Yash off the touch and down. So not the hardest hit ball you'll see today, but greatly placed and beyond the stretched arm of Drew Barnes for the point.
And it was a smart play. He only had one blocker in front of him. He had the full court to make a decision, and he found corners, and that's exactly what you do as a middle blocker.
Levi Sturinsky with the serve. Good reception by Buddy. Set to the outside. Up and down. Goodness gracious, JT McGuire.
We talked about him at the beginning as really the player to watch, along with his buddy Dylan Johnson here, that's back on the service line. But just these boys have a lot of great volleyball IQ. You can tell that they've been playing this game for a long time. They're taking advantage of off-season play. They're doing a great job.
JT McGuire with the serve that goes a little bit wide and a little bit long, so it goes back to New Albany. Tied at 15, and Yash Devilapalli will go to the serving line for the Eagles. Devilapalli, 6'5". Good reception. Right back, tipped across. Noriakis keeps up. Off the touch, nope. Out of bounds, no touch. The point goes to Thomas Worthington. They lead at 16-15.
So sometimes we see that in guys volleyball. They just send the ball flying out of bounds like it almost looks like a home run. But the truth is they're looking for hands. Right. They're trying to make the ball hit hands, and we're seeing it at the upper level. They're even closing their hands into fists so that they don't get tooled when they're up blocking. It's pretty interesting to watch.
Noah May with a big block by the Cardinals. So Thomas Worthington with the serve. Alex Ando to the serving line. The Cardinals lead it by 2, 17-15. Ando, the 6'1" junior setter. Serves middle back. Tight at the net. They keep it alive. Noriakis, middle back. Off the touch. Cardinals have to free it across. Here comes New Albany. Back row. Big swing. And that'll be a point. It was a big deflection. Nice job by Levi Sturinsky to come up with that point.
So Sturinsky ran that big. And I love it when the guys run back row attacks. They do a really great job of running it really quick. It's kind of like the one set that you see a lot in girls volleyball. They run ones and guys, but they're trying to do it out of the back row, and they're trying to make contact as close to the net as possible, but still take off behind the 10-foot line.
Back set, big swing, kept alive. Nice dig. Noriakis across. Here come the Cardinals on the attack. Up and down, another big swing. That's number 13, JT McGuire.
So the Cardinals are purposely running JT McGuire on the right side right now because they have a shorter blocker on New Albany, Kyle Moore. He's not as tall as the other guys, so they're purposely running the offense over him to take advantage of that.
Oliver Marker to the serving line. Marker floats it. Going to be tight. Noriakis tries to block it. They do keep it alive. Nicely done. Great job over there by number 16, Adam Sutton, to keep it alive. New Albany wants a touch on that play. They're not going to get the call, and the point goes to the Cardinals. And a timeout will be taken by New Albany. They find themselves on the short end of a 19-16 score here in set number 1. Now, Jackie, you talked earlier about the Cardinal standard. And the Cardinal standard isn't just something that these kids came up with on their own. They got some help, and they got some help from a Central Ohio, not just Central Ohio, an Ohio luminary.
Yeah, Jim Tressel came in the preseason and helped them really iron out what their culture was going to look like this year. And they set for this standard, and they've held to that. And the coaches were really intimate that that was their philosophy. That is what they work together as a team. And it's really cool to have a former Ohio State head football coach to come in and help you at this level. What a great role model.
What has Tressel not done? He's been the coach at Ohio State. He's been the president of Youngstown State. He's been the lieutenant governor of the state of Ohio, and now he's helping these guys come up with a motto that has obviously carried them, and with confidence, because the Cardinals, you talked to one of their coaches weeks ago, and he says, oh yeah, we'll see you at the state tournament. They believe that they were going to be here.
Right, and I said earlier to you, like, obviously there's talent, but if you speak it into existence, you've got a level of confidence that's pretty remarkable.
Out of the timeout, Marker back to the serving line for the Cardinals. Set to the outside. And that one's off the antenna. And it's off the antenna from the arm of New Albany's Michael Botkin. So the point goes to the Cardinals, who now lead 20-16.
So that's the risk of running a fast offense. That ball didn't even get set above the height of the antenna, and if it's too fast, your hitter doesn't have enough options. And so it's important that maybe they slow it down or communicate a little bit more on what the tempo needs to look like on the New Albany side.
Quick one sent across and down. Another point for the Cardinals there in the middle. That one off the arm of Noah May. 21-16. With Oliver Marker continuing to serve. It's a 3-0 scoring run. Now they're checking with the scoreboard as it hasn't moved the last 2 points. It's still got Worthington at 19. So a quick check of the equipment.
You were on top of that.
Yeah, right.
I looked up and you said 21-16 and I went, oops, but then I looked over on my live stats and this game is fast. Even the officials doing the scoreboard are really dialed in and watching.
There's a cut across. Good swing by Kyle Moore, but he's unable to keep it in the field of play. So now Thomas Worthington kind of running away with it here, leading by 6, 22-16. And that causes the head coach of New Albany to take another timeout. Dan Baer in his first season. And, man, first-year coach, young team, excited to be here, no doubt. But they expect more than just being happy to be here, right?
So I actually know Dan Baer, and he's a phenomenal human being. He is one of my favorite people. He's a really nice guy. He holds the guys to a standard. He's not demanding. He's demanding but not demeaning, and you could really tell that prior to this match when I went up to talk to him, these guys really care about him, and he cares about them.
And while the Cardinals have the Cardinal standard, New Albany has kind of rallied around the theme all year long as well.
Yeah, they kind of go back to the mantra of lock in, and that's what they need to do right here. They need to lock in on serve receive. They don't have to be perfect. They just need to get it up high enough and off the net enough that the setter has options of who to deliver the ball to.
Worthington only needs 3 points to take set number 1, but with Rowley scoring, New Albany can climb back in fairly quickly, fairly easily, but they have to break serve from this man, Oliver Marker. He's on a 5-0 scoring run. The floater, middle back. Noriakis in the middle. Big swing, that'll go down, a point. So New Albany got what they needed off the arm of Michael Botkin.
Now this is putting New Albany in a better place. Moore is now back row. So we had talked about Thomas Worthington was taking advantage of him in the front row. So they have a bigger block in front of Thomas Worthington. They also have a front row setter who can dump the ball on the second contact.
There's a block on the other side, or touch I should say, and the ball is deflected off and out of bounds. The point goes to Thomas Worthington. And then there were 23-17. 2 points needed for the Cardinals to take set number 1. Float serve to the back row by Drew Barnes. Good swing across. There's Michael Botkin again, and Botkin doing everything he can to get the ball back into the offensive possession of New Albany.
Both teams have their best middle blockers in right now. Dylan Johnson is over on the Cardinals side, and Yash just came back in. Also, JT McGuire's running the bick out of middle back over on the Cardinal side.
Yash got the set kind of behind him and tried to hit it, but hit it into the block and back down. And so now it's set point for the Cardinals of Thomas Worthington, leading 24-18. And after the substitution to the serving line is number 7, Anav Samrat. Samrat, a 5'10 junior. He's a setter on this team, one of the setters on this team. Serves middle back. Yash tosses it across, but it's kept alive. Here come the Cardinals on the attack. And that one's airmailed. Trying to get fingers, I believe, but unfortunately Kurt Buddy got nothing. He goes out of bounds. 24-19.
It's something to take note of, though, if you're on the New Albany side. If Thomas Worthington is out of system on serve receive, they have a harder time, but they got to serve the ball in bounds for that to start.
They do indeed. Noriakis goes long, and that ends set number 1. Thomas Worthington takes set number 1 against the New Albany Eagles. The score of this one, 25-19. We've got a little bit of a break. We'll come back in just about 90 seconds and get you started with set number 2. Stay right there. You are watching Championship Volleyball on the NFHS Network and OHSAA Radio Network.
Welcome to the OHSAA.
Every day we work too.
Take the regulations on these pages
and to apply them to real-life situations.
To serve our member schools.
And our officials.
And to run the best state tournaments in the country.
It's our mission.
To serve our member schools.
And enrich interscholastic opportunities for students.
Welcome.
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 Welcome to the OHSAA. Welcome to the OHSAA.
Every day we work too.
Take the regulations on these pages
and to apply them to real-life situations.
To serve our member schools.
And our officials.
And to run the best state tournaments in the country.
It's our mission.
To serve our member schools.
And enrich interscholastic opportunities for students.
Welcome.
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 Welcome to the OHSAA.
Set number 1 goes to Thomas Worthington's Cardinals, 25-19. Set number 2 about 30 seconds away from getting started. And Jackie Klein, as you've looked at these two teams, you've noticed a little bit of a emerging trend for both of them.
So serve receive is always the most important thing, but Thomas Worthington is doing a better job of passing the ball so that their setter is able to connect with their hitters better. New Albany's having a little bit of trouble, especially because their offense seems to be run a little bit faster. We're seeing a little bit more of the shoot set to the outside, and it's harder to connect with your hitter. So it doesn't mean that they're out, but they do definitely have to communicate and give feedback and take that criticism and learn from it. Statistically, Thomas Worthington is hitting 242 after that first set. It's pretty good. They could still be doing better, but we talked about 3 hitters that were going to add to that offense, and that was JT McGuire and Dylan Johnson. They're both hitting pretty close to 300. JT McGuire's at 333, and Dylan Johnson's at 333, and JT McGuire's hitting 364, and then Kurt Buddy's right behind them with 273.
New Albany will serve first in this second set, into the serving line, number 6, Kyle Moore. Moore, one of those guys who had a little bit of trouble in the first set. He's hitting negative 400. This time he receives the ball across, but the ball goes over the net and out of bounds. And the point goes to the Cardinals, as does the serve. Going to the serving line, Drew Barnes, the libero. Good reception. Noriakis sends it over on a second ball, but it's dug out easily by Ando. That one's off a block. And the point goes to Thomas Worthington. They're picking up right where they left off. They trailed by 3 in set number 1, and after that they kind of came back roaring, and they continue to roar early here in set number 2, leading 2-0.
Both coaches did what I call spin the dial. They changed their starting lineup, so matchups are going to be different. Again, middle versus middle, and you can see right there.
Oh my goodness.
That was amazing.
From the middle, Alex Ondo with a destroyer. It wasn't inside the 10, but it was awfully darn close, and now Thomas Worthington leads 3-0, and their crowd is fired up. Set to the outside, big swing, that's down the line. But it goes out of bounds.
Too many errors over on New Albany Eagles side. They just need to get the ball in and get some sort of rhythm back on their side right here.
That was Sturinsky who had the shot, but it was outside the line. This time, though, he's equal to the task. A good set by Noriakis. Stravinsky puts it home. 1 point for New Albany, and the serve comes back to the Eagles, and Adam Sutton to the line.
Based on what we saw in the first set, Sturinsky needs to be set more. He did well in that first set, and he's their go-to hitter. And really, as a setter, you need to keep setting who's hot until they stop him or he stops himself.
That's up and straight down by Dylan Johnson. 5-1, Thomas Worthington after Dylan Johnson gets the side out. And to the serving line is number 7, Anav Samat. Yash tosses it across, and that's good placement. When you got a 6'5" guy with his head above the net going gentle on you, you're kind of on your heels a little bit.
Right, and he did that purposefully. He saw the open court and put it there. It was a good set. He could have swung at it, but he definitely took advantage of that open floor.
Noriakis with the serve for New Albany. Quick one, goes out of bounds. No touch, so the point goes to New Albany, and they're starting to turn the tide just a little bit. They still trail by 2, 5-3.
Kind of the rule of thumb is in the first 5 points of every set, you need to establish your middle. And so even though that was an error, it definitely gets the defense on the other side paying attention to your middle attacker.
JT McGuire with a great swing right down the line for the point. The Cardinals get it back. They lead 6-3. And it just feels like the Cardinals are maybe swinging with a little more confidence right now. Like they're a little less abandoned when they go up and swing.
Yeah, you definitely feel like the momentum is kind of shifted over to their side right now. But a good block usually switches the momentum again, so we'll see what happens.
Yash into the block, trying to keep it alive. Noriakis does so. Swing to the back row. Set to the outside for the Cardinals. Dug, but not dug well. Off the arms and out of bounds of Kyle Moore. The point goes to Thomas Worthington. They lead it 7-3.
And this is a comfortable place. Once you start getting 4 or 5 point spread, you start gaining a little bit more confidence and start swinging harder, taking a little bit more risks. So we'll see some tougher serves now.
Oliver Marker with an ace right there. As there's sometimes they call that the IC-UC kind of situation where they looked at each other and let the ball hit between them.
Right between them. Lack of communication. You know, the coaches have really laid out who has the short ball in the seam, who has the deep ball. So hopefully they communicated about it, but I foresee that coming right back to them.
Quick one in the middle. Yash off the touch and down. And Devilapalli working hard. He's got now 4 kills with 1 error on 10 swings. That's a 300 hit percentage. But his team trails by 4 in set number 2, 8-4. Levi Sturinsky at the serving line. Serves back. Bump set to the near side. Off the touch. Sutton with the dig. Back set, back row. Back row. Off the touch, indeed. So from the middle, JT McGuire hits it off the touch and gets the point.
Came out of the back row. He actually made contact with that ball about the 5-foot line. And if you're not familiar with the lines of a volleyball court, there's a line that's a 10-foot line. So he was pretty close to that net and delivering that ball, and he was aiming for fingers on purpose.
Matt Locker into the game for the first time for the Cardinals. The point there goes to New Albany on a good block by Yash, and he'll go to the serving line now. 9-5, Worthington leads it by 4. Yash Devilapalli. High toss, big jump. Back set. And hammered home. But a net violation going to be called also against New Albany, so the point will go to the Cardinals.
It's an interesting play. They ran a slide, which we typically see more in the female game.
Right.
But there's no reason why you can't run it in the guys' game. And actually, they talk about it being one of the hardest balls to defend if you run it right.
Back row. Good swing, but dug out by Ando. From off the net, roll shot. Trying to dig it out of the net, but the ball kind of grazed the bottom of it. Noriakis couldn't do anything with it. And now Thomas Worthington leads by 6, 11-5. And a timeout taken by the Eagles. So the Cardinals took set number 1, 25-19. They lead in this one 11-5. We've talked about it a little bit already, but there's firepower. I mean, McGuire you talked about, Johnson you talked about. We've seen Buddy do well. We've seen Ando get some nice big swings. So this is a team where you can't just settle in on one guy. You've got to keep an eye on everybody.
And they've been passing really well.
Yeah.
You know, statistically, they measure passes on a 3-point scale is typical. As you get better, it goes to a 4-point scale. But a perfect pass at the net is worth 3 points. And something that's about on the 10-foot line is worth 2. And we haven't seen anything that's a 1, which has been back towards the back line. They've really been able to dial in that pass that's either perfect or just off the net, which gives the setters option to be able to set both pins, run the back row attack, take advantage of their middle attacker, because they can set the middle even if they're a little bit off the net. It doesn't have to be perfect for them to connect with their middle attacker.
Well, and Alex Ando is their setter, and he's a 6'1 junior, so sometimes you think setters are little guys who have to slide up underneath the ball and all of that. He's a big, strong kid who also has shown that he's got some attack power.
Right, because he plays in the front row also because they're running a 5-1.
And there's another point for the Cardinals. There's a joust of sorts at the net. The ball came down in front of Michael Botkin, so the point to the Cardinals. And speaking of Alex Ando, here he is at the serving line. Good reception in the back row, kept it close. And that time, Botkin able to hit through the block and get the point for the Eagles.
And that was a pretty set, one-handed set coming from the Eagles. Their middle was up and ready. Michael Botkin, he was there and he took advantage of hitting those corners like we talked about earlier. You never want to hit straight ahead. If you're hitting straight ahead, you're going to be hitting right into a block, so you want to swing either cross or down the line.
Serve coming from Shaw. There's a set. Oh my goodness gracious. A big swing by Kurt Buttle.
And he had no blocker up on him. That's a one-on-none situation. There was just a little bit of miscommunication on the Eagles' side about who was responsible for blocking him, which unfortunately resulted in nobody being up.
Set to the outside, and there's one that's airmailed, looking for fingertips, I think, because that ball was nowhere close to finding the back line off the arm of Michael Botkin.
He actually told his setter that he wanted it a little bit lower, which is shocking to me because they're running it pretty low. They're running it pretty fast.
Dink across by Noriakis, trying to keep it alive. They do. Good swing. Trying to dig it in the back row was Levi Sterinsky, but he couldn't do so. And now Thomas Worthington has really opened it up. They're up 15-6 here in set number 2. Buddy. 8 kills, 2 errors on 15 attacks. And there's an ace of a serve to go along with all that.
On a service ace from Buddy.
So Buddy hitting 400, has a dig, has an ace. All-around game for this young man thus far.
He's doing a great job of attacking off the serve here, trying to... I always jinx him when I do that. There was a missed serve. You know, sorry about that, buddy. I will next time say that you're not doing a great job.
The dreaded announcer's jinx. Serve to the back row. Good bump, my goodness gracious. And then under the net goes one of the Cardinals, number 13, JT McGuire. Drew Barnes, his set wasn't perfect, but he was running away out of the court of play, and he got it really close to the front of the net.
Yeah, but this is what the Eagles need. They need to get Thomas Worthington out of system. They
Yeah.
need to force them to pass that 2-ball or 1-ball.
That went into the block. Here come the Eagles on the attack. Set to the outside. Tossed across. Off the arm of a Cardinal. Back row dig. Noriakis outside. Tossed across. That's down. It's out. So a good effort by Botkin, but he couldn't keep it inside the line. The point goes to Worthington. They lead it by 9, 17-8. Here's Drew Barnes. Into the block and out of bounds. Botkin tooled that one.
Botkin went in and he did what's called a thumb down move. He actually swung, and when he hit the ball, he brought his thumb down towards his knee, and that made the ball hit off the block and go out of bounds. And so that's an intended tool shot.
That's the 6th kill of the match for Botkin, and we've got a net violation called against Yash. So the point goes to Thomas Worthington. They lead it 18-9.
Checking into the match and going on serve for the Cardinals.
And to the serving line for Thomas Worthington, Anav Samrat. Samrat with the toss, the float serve to the back row. Yash with the second ball. Sent across. Here we go on the attack. And again, miscommunication, as trying to dig it out was Gabe Teeter, but nobody was there to try to help him out when he got the ball elevated just a little bit.
It's 19-9.
10-point advantage for the Cardinals. It's going to be an overpass. Sent right back. Here come the Eagles on the attack. Yash going to try to keep it alive. Into the block, keeping it up. Oh my goodness! That ball was hit from the knees and it rolled across the tape and stayed in play.
They just kept that ball alive. It barely trickled over and hit the floor.
Immediately, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thomas Worthington was asking if there was a lift involved in there, because you can't carry the ball up into the air, and there was a lot of open hand touches on that ball, but the ref let it go and they moved on.
There's a big swing off of the right arm of Dylan Johnson. And those cut shots, that's something I was watching these guys do in practice. The Cardinals are very adroit at hitting from one pin to the other inside the 10.
And they're doing a great job of, you said one pin to the other. They're delivering a ball to the outside, and they're delivering the ball to the right side. Then they're going to the middle. Then they're going to the back row attack. So it's really hard to defend. You really have to be on your toes and be ready to react.
Into the middle. Yash with the kill. Devilapalli from the middle gets the point.
I think that's the first time they've really connected, actually, and he still hit that kind of an off-speed shot. And so if they can keep dialing that in, he may become that weapon that they can go to.
Now serving Levi Sturinsky. His team trails by 9. Set to the back. And that one's a touch and down for the point. So Dylan Johnson gets the point, a 10-point lead for the Cardinals.
Dylan Johnson hit that ball on the right side. He's taking advantage of the short blocker again and more over on the outside for the Eagles. So Dylan Johnson typically hits in the middle, but we saw him take a high ball on that last one.
He goes to the serving line and sends it too long, so he'll come out of the match and be replaced by number 14, Drew Barnes, as the serve comes to Yash for New Albany. Devilapalli, high toss, big swing. Set to the outside. And that's beautifully blocked. It was a really good swing by Worthington's number 8, Micah Johnson. But there and equal to the task was number 12, Jack Martin. 21-13. This one goes wide. So another unforced error against New Albany. They trail 22-13. And Alex Ondo goes to the serving line. Ondo has been a very important part of this offense today. Good reception to the outside. Tight to the net, a joust. Here comes New Albany, back row, off the touch. Noriakis, close one, tossed gently across to the near side. Into the block. Kept alive. Will it stay in play? It will. What a second ball. I think that was Ando.
Was amazing. They didn't know if it was in or out. They had to make that decision with 3 guys all standing around that ball. Not only did they make the decision, but they delivered an out-of-system set that resulted in a hole in the floor attack. Very impressive.
23-13, Worthington on top. Back row, big swing. Point. JT McGuire, and now it's set point for the Cardinals in set number 2.
Serve on set point for Thomas Worthington.
Substitutions coming for the Cardinals as Ando leaves. Number 2, Finn Rubin comes in. Good reception. Noriakis outside. Into the touch. Bump off the scoreboard, and they still get it to go across. Back row. Into the net and down. The point goes to the Cardinals, as does set number 2, 25-13. So, Thomas Worthington leads this match 2 sets to none, 25-19, 25-13. On the other side of this break, we will have for you set number 3. Stay right there with us as championship volleyball rolls on from Pam Evans Smith Arena and Wittenberg University on the NFHS Network and OHSAA Radio Network. I got you. Two sets to none. Thomas Worthington has the advantage over New Albany's Eagles as we get set for set number 3, best out of 5 in this semifinal matchup. This is the Region 1 championship matchup, semi-state, between New Albany and the Cardinals of Thomas Worthington. The Cardinals come out of Region 3, New Albany out of Region 1. Division 1 is what I meant to say a moment ago. Coming up at 2 o'clock, the other two teams, St. Ignatius and St. Xavier, will take the floor. And then later on this afternoon, the Division 2 semifinals.
Semifinal match, 2 sets to none.
We are set for set number 3. The Cardinals will have the serve. Kurt Buddy to the serving line. Buddy today has 8 kills, 2 errors on 15 attacks. He's hitting .400. He also has a service ace and a dig to his credit. Serves middle back. Noriakis with the bump set. Noriakis outside. Gently tossed across. Back set, a little bit off the net this time. Oh, and a deflection that Sutton couldn't adjust to. So the point goes to J.T. McGuire and Thomas Worthington, 1-0 Cardinals.
And J.T. McGuire was delivered 2 balls in that play, and he was very smart with both of them. He couldn't take a big swing on either one, and he was roll shotting or off-speed shotting and took advantage of the Eagles being on their heels on defense.
Jack Martin swings into the block, and the point goes back to the Cardinals. They lead it 2-0, as continuing to serve is Kurt Buddy. Back row. Again into the block. And the point goes to the Cardinals.
Noah May, number 6 for the Thomas Worthington, taking advantage of being a big block up there. The referee actually pulled him aside because he celebrated a little bit too much. The rules are you can celebrate as much as you want, but you have to do it with your back to the other team. You can't face the team while you're doing the celebration.
So yeah, that's a warning to Noah May. He seemed to receive it well. Thomas Worthington leads 3-0, and the serve continues for Buddy. Outside. Off the top of the net, and New Albany has had the wheels fall off a little bit.
I think the Eagles are just trying a little bit too hard to continue to hit the ball at a fast tempo, where they need to just maybe find some corners, throw the ball into the campfire area, and just get a rhythm again.
That serve goes out of bounds, so Buddy helps them a little bit. A point goes to New Albany. They trail 3-1, and Jack Martin goes to the serving line for the Eagles. Martin today has a kill with 2 errors on 5 attacks. That's -200. He also has a block. Good reception in the back. Off the touch and down. So there for the block was number 10, Michael Botkin, but it went off his right hand and out of bounds. 5-1 Thomas Worthington. Drew Barnes now to serve for the Cardinals. Botkin comes up with it. Noriakis outside. Into the touch. Noriakis again. Flat-footed jump. That was really kind of impressive by number 14, Levi Storinsky.
Right.
Ball went into the antenna. That's out of bounds for New Albany.
Now, Thomas Worthington is just camping out on Levi. They know he's going to get the ball because he's been the most consistent for the team. And so, unfortunately, they're committing to him, which means they're leaving early.
There's a block. The change of pace now is that Yash Developali is in the game, and he's a difference maker at the net. Got the block there to give his team a point. They still trail by 2, 5-3. Adam Sutton to serve for the Eagles. Off the tape, outside into the block. Another point for New Albany. Levi Storinsky on the far side.
And it's a different story over there when Levi's over there because he's a big block. He presses over great. He's actually touching the ball on the other side of the net over on Thomas Worthington's side. So it definitely makes the hitters think about what they can do.
Blocked by Yash. That one sent across gently into the middle. Yash dunks it down. And New Albany's run off 5 in a row, and they've tied this one up at 5.
You said dunk. It actually looked like an alley-oop. He just kind of tossed it up there. Typically, you're seeing a faster set to a middle, but he ran it more like a 2-ball, and Yash was able to keep it in play in that campfire tip zone.
Free ball across. New Albany on the attack. Quick one in the middle. Yash again dunks it down. This time Barnes is there. Outside, trying to navigate the antenna. They do. Noriakis. Again, Yash across, but it's dug out by Barnes. Far side. Yash a third time. Here comes New Albany again. This time on a second ball, Sutton sends it across. Barnes to the near side. Going up for the block, off the touch. Noriakis has to hurry. Sturinsky off the touch. Point New Albany.
Austin Noriakis delivered that quick go set with his forearms. So it was a perfect tempo, perfect location. Levi was able to have the option of hitting line or cross, and he took advantage of that line shot.
Sutton again, back row. Barnes receives outside. Close one at the net, goes out of bounds. Off the antenna, the point goes to New Albany. They now have 7 in a row, and they lead 7-5.
I'm giving credit to Austin Noriakis. He's doing a great job of taking advantage of the hitters that are available, but he's mixing it up enough and keeping a great location on his sets. If he can continue to lead this team, they're going to be right back in this.
That's a good swing across, and Sutton unable to dig it up, so the Cardinals will get it back. Noriakis just 5'10". At the setter position, so not a guy that you would expect to be a force at the net, but you put him up with Yash, and he's got some pretty good hops, and he's a great second blocker. So Thomas Worthington will send number 7, Anav Samrat, to the serving line. They trail by 1, 7-6. An overpass. Sutton, Noriakis to Yash, who dunks it down.
Okay, this
They
is going
wanted
to
a
be
touch.
interesting because the down official saw the touch, and they're allowed to go ahead and say that was the touch. And it's a hard position for the line judges to see, and he has that direct eyesight right to it.
So Noriakis to the serving line. That was a big change there for New Albany's momentum. They lead by 2, 8-6. Noriakis down the line. Good serve, and that'll be an ace.
Even JT McGuire looked over this way and went, whoa, that was fast. That was a fast serve down the line. Usually you see the men serving more to the middle of the court just to make sure that they don't serve out of bounds, but that one went straight down the line.
And with a little bit of pace, it just cleared the net, stayed in, and you said it, JT McGuire kind of looked over and said, whoa, where did that come from? I haven't seen that today. So New Albany leads by 3, 9-6. A timeout taken on the floor by the Cardinals of Thomas Worthington. They still in control, leading 2-0, but New Albany has a little different energy here in this third set, and they're starting to see things click a little bit. Noriakis looks much more comfortable setting the ball right now than he did in sets 1 and 2.
He does. I've seen the guys kind of pull into their confidence bucket, and they are looking a little bit more confident in themselves, but more importantly in their teammates. And so that's a culture thing. You can't look down at your shoelaces. You need to continue to make eye contact with your teammates and continue to build no matter what the score is. And we saw them change that. And we saw Coach Dan Baer pull them off of even the court between sets. They were almost at the back wall in a new environment, talking through changing some of those things.
Dan Baer, first-year head coach for New Albany. That serve does go wide. Noriakis tried that line twice in a row. This time he missed it. So it's 9-7. Cardinals trail, but they do have the serve back now. And going to the serving line for the Cardinals is number 9, Oliver Marker. Marker back in set number 1 had a 4 or 5 in a row run from the serving line. So he is capable of doing that and bringing his team not just back into it, but taking the lead. Quick one in the middle. Yash tosses it over out of bounds. That set wasn't ideal for Yash. He did what he could with it.
So Yash is running the 31, but he's running it really far away. It's almost to the sideline. And so on those fast tempo balls, the ball has time to drop. Gravity's working on it. And so it is hard to connect. And it just keeps kind of flying out of bounds whenever he tries to tip it.
Dump across to the near side. Off the touch. Keeping it alive. Yash, can they play a second ball? Great effort, but they can't play the third one as Sturinsky goes into one of the tables down the way trying to keep that one alive, but instead he sends it into the stands. We're tied at 9.
So they actually changed that rule in college. If you run into the table, it's out of bounds.
Oh.
So it's cool that they let them actually continue play.
Third serve in a row. And that one goes out of bounds. Good conversation by New Albany as that was really close. They talked it over, decided to let it go out, and it just did. New Albany leads by 1, 10-9. Levi Sturinsky, the 6'3" junior, 200 kills and 100 digs on the season, along with 26 blocks. But this time his serve goes into the net.
It's an unfortunate service error right there. But I still see these guys. They're pumped up. They're communicating well with each other, like we saw on that serve where they had to call the ball in or out. Austin is doing a great job delivering sets, so they could turn it around.
Number 1 in to serve for the Cardinals. Quick one. Yash sends it down. That was Thomas Hayward on the serve, and now the ball comes back to New Albany as they lead it by 1. Yash Devilapalli steps to the serving line. High toss. That was a great serve. Had a lot of top spin, dove down in front of JT McGuire, in front of number 11, Kurt Budding.
I don't think he meant to hit it like that. It kind of went off his fingers funny, but it definitely worked, and it, like you said, dropped really quick right as it crossed the net.
That one goes out of bounds, so another service error for New Albany. At times, they have been their own worst enemy with unforced errors. Now Alex Ondo to the serving line. Ondo's been very good today. Martin with a big swing. Good dig. Near side, Buddy. Dug out. Noriakis, back row. Too strong. Starinsky tried, but the point goes to Thomas Worthington, and we're tied at 12. Martin with the reception. And miscommunication there. As the set to Botkin. Botkin was off the ground too soon, or the set was too late, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, definitely the set was a little too slow, and Botkins was there, so that's almost like a zero tempo set, meaning you're supposed to hit that ball out of the setter's hands, but the set was a little bit too slow, too high.
Martin sends it down the line and in. Nicely done for New Albany, trying to stay in this match, now tied at 13. Started out the match down 5. Came back with 7 in a row, and since then it's been back and forth, similar to what set number 1 was to start. Kyle Moore to the serving line for the Eagles. Moore serves, the reception, quick one in the middle. Outside, Buddy into the block. Barnes outside. Good reception, Noriakis has 2 Eagles go to the floor. Off the touch, can't save it this time. Noriakis really did a great job keeping that play alive because 2 of the Eagles had gone to the floor and they needed time to get up, so he decided to send it over and keep the play alive. 14-13, Worthington on top. Buddy at the serving line. Too strong, and we're tied again.
So it's going to be interesting here because the Eagles really have to bring it from the service line. They have to create a situation where Thomas Worthington is out of system because they're just doing too good of running the ball on both pins and running that ball out of the middle back, which is that big set out of the middle back row attack.
It's a heel shot to serve. Good reception by Buddy. That ball is hit hard. Tried to receive it in the back row was Kyle Moore, but McGuire was too much, and the point goes to Thomas Worthington. They're up by 1.
And that was an out-of-system set, and Ondo did a great job of putting that in the exact location that McGuire needed to be successful.
Noriakis sets it back, and the swing by Botkin goes into the net.
It's almost like they're trying a little too hard to run a fancy offense. You know, being consistent and just being simple is sometimes the way you need to go in this sport.
There's a serve into the net by Drew Barnes, so a side out back to New Albany. They trail by 1, 16-15. Adam Sutton to the serving line for the Eagles. Sutton with a toss, middle back, off Buddy's arms. McGuire goes and gets it. Now it's going to be a free ball across. Yash, gently tossed across. Second ball hit hard. JT McGuire puts his finger up in celebration as he hits the ball down on the far side.
Yeah, that's called on two. So here comes the ball. It's in a perfect hitting situation, even though it's the second contact, and the defenders are never ready for that. So that's a really cool situation to have just seen.
Anav Samrat to the serving line. Samrat with the toss. In the middle, kept alive. Yash off the touch. Barnes comes up with it. Outside. Big swing and down. JT McGuire.
You know what I really love seeing there is Ando's front row. He's the setter for Thomas Worthington, and the middle blocker on his own side got in his way, and what did he do? He pushed him out of the way so he could get that second ball and was able to deliver that ball outside to McGuire very clean and in a perfect location.
We have an officials conference here just in front of us at the ladder. The floor official as well as and now a yellow card is going to be called on Thomas Worthington.
So once again, the rules are really, you can't celebrate facing the other team, and that's exactly what Thomas Worthington did. And so once again, this yellow card is going to be issued. It's a warning, though. I mean, there really isn't points exchanged. The ball's going to still stay on Thomas Worthington's side. It's when the red card starts getting involved that we kind of start seeing the points exchanged and side outs happening because of it.
Off the touch. Another mistake by Kyle Moore, who tried to duck out of the way but took that ball off his shoulder. And now Thomas Worthington leads by 4, and a timeout will be taken by Coach Bear of the Eagles of New Albany. We invite you to stay with us for the second semifinal this afternoon. St. Ignatius out of the Cleveland area, St. Xavier out of the Cincinnati area, and then later on today, 2 Division II semifinals. Tomorrow at noon and 3, the state championship matchups. First in Division I at noon. The Division II championship game will be at 3. All of those can be seen on the NFHS network and heard on the OHSAA radio network. With Jackie Klein, I'm Chris Solwecki, and Jackie played at Ohio State. She is the owner and co-founder of Elite Volleyball Training Center, associated with League One Volleyball. League One Volleyball is an exciting new addition to the volleyball landscape in America.
Right. It's a pro league here in America for women, and has been ranked in the top 3 of pro leagues in the world. So it's pretty excited to be involved with them. We've been seeing some really cool things happen in volleyball across the world for both men and women. The game is so much easier to get access to watch, and I was telling you earlier, I've been watching more men's volleyball than I ever have in the past. Long Beach State had a pretty cool setter on it this year, Simeon Nikolov, and he's doing things that are outside of the textbooks of volleyball, and it's pretty fun to watch.
He's trying to get a free ball across, and another mistake by New Albany as the set was beyond Yash. And so the point goes to Thomas Worthington. They now lead at 20-15. If you'd like to learn more about League One Volleyball, visit www.lovb.com. 6 teams in the league, and there's a set to the outside. Yash goes up, hits it hard. Barnes comes up with the ball, though. Free one across. Here comes New Albany on the attack. Yash has to send it over gently as the set was behind him. Bump to the outside. Into the block. Yash and Noriakis were there, and the point goes to New Albany.
That was a hard ball. JT McGuire was trapped inside, and so it was easy to block. Plus, it was a tight set. So he took a big swing hoping for the best, but it did end up being a stuff block.
Noriakis to the serving line now. Received over the net. Sent across. Sutton, Noriakis back. Into the block and down. Point for Sturinsky. 20-17. Worthington has the lead, but New Albany trying to climb back in. And there's an ace.
Noriakis is purposely serving JT McGuire. He is targeting him, specifically that left angle.
Went to him again, this time received. Sutton to the outside. Sturinsky, nope. Sturinsky, excuse me. We've got a net violation called against the Cardinals. So another point to New Albany, who has cut the deficit now to just one, 20-19. 4-0 scoring run, and a timeout taken by the Cardinals. So let's just put a period on the League One volleyball. They have 6 teams, none of them in Ohio yet, but volleyball is such a fast-growing sport. We can hope that down the road a League One volleyball franchise is going to come somewhere to the state of Ohio to join Atlanta, Houston, Madison, Wisconsin, Salt Lake City, Austin, Texas, and Omaha, Nebraska. And we've seen a number of leagues pop up, and it's just kind of exciting to see the wildfire that is volleyball take root here in America.
You're right, and in the men's world, in America, American football, basketball seem to be the dominant force, but if you step outside of the United States, some of the best athletes in the world getting paid lots of money are men's volleyball players in other countries. They are famous, and so this game is continuing to morph, and it's fun to watch it all on the Olympics. But the coolest part is here in Ohio, the OHSAA has teamed up with boys volleyball and has now sanctioned this sport, and we're seeing it grow. We're seeing kids get involved at a younger age. So I'm excited that maybe in a few years there'll be a men's pro league also.
This is the 3rd year that it's been sanctioned by the OHSAA. Big swing by Sturinsky. There's a bump by Barnes. Here come the Eagles. Yash, gentle toss, dug out. Nice job by Semrot. Yash goes way high. Bumps it to the backside. McGuire, we've got a net violation. Out of bounds, excuse me. And a lift. We're going to get them all. Out of bounds, a lift, all against the Cardinals. Tied at 20. The Eagles have come roaring back for the 2nd time in set number 3. If they don't win this, it's over. If they do, we will go to set number 4. Good dig. Norakis close to the net. Big swing into the block and down. Yash.
Dan Bear made a change this set. And he took Kyle Moore out of the front row, and he brought in number 18, Ben Pisetki.
Yeah.
And he just got a stuff block and has been contributing to his team. He hasn't seen many sets, but he's been doing the little things that has made this game this close.
They had a big battle at the net, and unfortunately for the Cardinals, somebody got into it over there, and so the ball goes back. I believe that was number 16 in the net for Thomas Worthington. Alex Ondo. So 22-20. New Albany 3 points away from extending this match. But Noriakis gets a little strong and sends it deep.
There's kind of an unwritten rule that once you get past 20 points, you got to get your serve in. You know, and there is a little bit of room there because guys are really hitting the ball hard, but on a jump float serve, that ball's got to go inbounds.
Oliver Marker, who has been very good from the serving line here in this match today, steps to the line now. Noriakis, Yash sends it down, good dig. Hit hard, bump set to the near side. Sturinsky down the line, hustling. Can they clear it? They do. What a play. And that'll be a point for the Cardinals. Unbelievable. Huge credit goes to Drew Barnes running almost into the wall on the backside of this gym to help his team tie it up at 22.
What a momentum shifter. That is going to throw all the momentum back over on Thomas Worthington's side here in this 3-point set that's could result in match point.
Noriakis. Sturinsky gets the point. Good adjustment in the air to get that point, hit it off the block. (23, 22). New Albany with the lead. Sturinsky to the serving line for the Eagles. He serves Buddy, set to the backside, sent across gently. Noriakis, Yash, dug out nicely. To the near side, off the touch. That's a point for the Cardinals, and we're tied at 23. Good swing by Kurt Buddy.
This is a big thing we see in volleyball is the 2-point game, and coaches practice this a lot in the practice gym. You got to win 2 points in a row because in this game, you have to win by 2 in every set.
Thomas Hayward steps to the serving line. A high toss. Good serve, dug in the back row. Noriakis. Yash. Out! And now it is match point for Thomas Worthington. 24-23 as Thomas Hayward looks to send his team to the state championship, but not before a timeout is called on the floor. High drama at Pam Evans Smith Arena at Wittenberg University.
This is a smart timeout. Shift the momentum a little bit to be neutral. See if there's a missed serve. Coaches like to get coaching points. If the server goes back and thinks a little bit too long in the timeout and misses that serve, they call that a coach's point.
Yeah, there you go.
So we'll see what happens here, but you know, just like in tennis, Thomas Worthington has the advantage here. But if New Albany's able to get this point back, we're back at deuce.
Do you
Gotta win by 2.
Do you count coaches' points?
No, but I do usually look at my assistants and give that look of, that's my point. Yep.
Yeah. Because I think our friend Michelle Mimna, I think she keeps coaches' points. I don't know if she keeps them as an actual stat, but I think she knows.
She's got a column on her stat sheet for herself. That's funny.
It's very possible. Out of the timeout, Hayward back to the serving line with a chance to send his team to the state championship game tomorrow. 24-23, Thomas Worthington on top. The serve is too long. And there's a coach's point.
Goes to Dan Bear, and even his face said the same thing.
So we're tied at 24 as Yash Developali goes to the serving line. Barnes in the back, set to the outside. Good dig, overpass, gonna be dunked down. Can they keep it alive? They cannot. Trying to do a little too much was Michael Botkin. The point goes to the Cardinals, and it is set point number 2 for the Cardinals. Alex Ondo just needs 1. Into the block. Can they keep it alive? They cannot. A great effort, but a double hit is going to be called, and the state semifinal champion of Game 1 are the Cardinals of Thomas Worthington High School. They win it in 3 sets, 25-19, 25-13, 26-24, and they will punch their ticket to play tomorrow afternoon against a team yet to be determined, either St. Xavier or St. Ignatius. And this team, they have the confidence, they have the swagger. They also have an awful lot of weapons on this Cardinals team.
They do. They have weapons, and they're consistent. They do a good job from the service line. We saw great serve reception. So they are going to be a tough team to beat. It'll be interesting to see how the matchups work out after we watch this next match.
Noah May, believe it or not, was a leader for Thomas Worthington. I shouldn't say it that way. We just haven't said his name a lot, but he has 7 kills with no errors on 9 attacks. He hit 778 for his team. Kurt Buddy hit 409, 11 for 22 with just 2 errors in there. JT McGuire had 33 attempts, had 5 errors and 16 kills, hitting 333. Those 3 guys were kind of the offensive drive. Dylan Johnson was there. He hit a little lower, 167, but his threat was huge. And, of course, the guy who makes it all go, Alex Ondo, who made some incredible sets today.
Yes, and you know what's really impressive is both teams, these guys are really respectful. I saw them shake the officials' hands. They made eye contact with each other as they were leaving the floor and shaking hands. And despite the yellow cards, The yellow cards, honestly, is just a warning. Don't celebrate towards the other team.
Right.
They really were just celebrating. And so it's just a matter of how to do it and learning. We are in a high school environment, so there is some education that has to happen between the officials and the athletes, and that's exactly what they did. Everybody was respectful and did exactly their role.
New Albany's season concludes with a record of 17-9 for the Cardinals. They will play one more tomorrow afternoon. Their record improves after this win to 22-4, and they will play either St. Xavier from Cincinnati or St. Ignatius from the Cleveland area tomorrow. That will start at 12 noon. We thank you so much for being a part of today's broadcast. We hope you'll choose to join us for the next semifinal match that begins at 2 o'clock, maybe a little later than that, but you want to be here at 2 just in case. And then, of course, Division II comes even after that. Lots of great volleyball coming your way today and tomorrow from Pam Evans Smith Arena at Wittenberg University. Until next time, for Jackie Klein and for all the gang at TKS Sports, I'm Chris Solwecki. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Until then, so long, everybody.